Let's set aside the conventional narratives about happiness and confidence. We often imagine confidence as a gleaming trophy, a dazzling peak to be arduously conquered. But no. The secret of a confident and happy woman lies in a contrasting journey. It's the art of unburdening yourself from unseen weights, layer by layer, so the light within can truly shine. I once relentlessly pursued the phantom of perfection, striving to become the version others expected. Yet, life, like a quiet teacher, gently drew back the curtain of illusion, revealing a surprisingly simple truth: happiness and confidence aren't things you need to add on to yourself. Instead, they are the pure beauty that emerges when you dare to release what no longer serves you. This is the result of bravely shedding the heavy cloak of fear, deeply ingrained beliefs, and the pressures that have long bound your spirit. Each liberation here isn't a task to be completed, but an inward adventure, a gentle step towards freedom and inner peace from your very core. I believe that when a woman truly liberates herself from these invisible chains, she will not only discover a more radiant, confident version of herself, but also tap into an endless wellspring of inner strength, a profound inner calm, and a smile that lights up from her very soul. It's more than just change, it's a gentle and authentic rebirth within your very being. Before diving deep into each door of liberation, we need to clearly identify the pivotal starting points, and the deepest entanglements that must be untangled. Much like building a happy home, you need a solid foundation. The first step, and the essential starting point for the journey to confidence and happiness, is liberation from the tyranny of thought. Have you ever felt trapped in a swirling vortex of negative thoughts? Unrelenting self-criticism, worst-case scenarios constantly replaying in your mind, and anxieties that seem to offer no escape. These very thought patterns, if left unexamined, become an invisible dictator, stifling your inner calm and strength. If you remain enslaved by negative thoughts, you'll never have enough mental space to confront any deeper issues. This feeling is akin to trying to swim across a strong current while your feet are bound by invisible ropes in your mind. Learning to observe your thoughts, rather than being swept away by them, is the first brick of mental freedom, paving the way for genuine happiness. The root of the problem, the foundation for all other freedoms, and the profound secret to inner peace, is liberation from the fear of abandonment. This might sound simple, but it's one of the most primal and powerful fears, deeply embedded in the human psyche, especially for women. This fear isn't just about being alone. It's the fear of not being loved, not being accepted, not belonging, the dread that your worth depends on the presence or affection of others. When you carry this fear of abandonment, you easily settle for less than you deserve, cling to unhealthy relationships, or constantly seek external validation. This fear is like an unseen shackle, binding you tightly to expectations and choices that aren't truly your own. The miraculous thing is, when you dare to confront and untangle this psychological knot, when you truly believe that you will still be okay and happy even when alone, many other burdens automatically lift. The fear dissipates, opening up a vast space of independence and inner peace. This is the solid cornerstone for a confident and happy woman. Now, let's delve into each door of liberation, feeling each aha moment on this journey to true happiness and confidence. 1. Liberation from the fear of emptiness, enduring silence and boredom without rushing to fill them. Have you ever felt an unease, a gnawing restlessness, when the world around you suddenly falls silent? A Sunday afternoon with no plans, an empty room, or simply moments without your phone, without social media to scroll through? Instead of allowing our souls to rest and settle, we often feel an intense urge to fill that void. A movie, a gossipy phone call, a snack, or even endless thoughts about unfinished tasks or words already spoken. This filling behavior stems from a hidden fear, the fear of confronting ourselves. The fear of unnamed emotions, of inner voices we've tried to ignore for too long. This prevents you from finding happiness within yourself. When you dare to endure silence and the feeling of boredom, even for a moment, you are doing something incredibly powerful. You are creating a sacred personal space for yourself. This is when you allow yourself to simply be, rather than constantly needing to do something to prove your existence or worth. I remember a period when I always felt I had to be doing something. A free minute felt like a minute wasted. Gradually, I tried turning off all devices, sitting quietly, and simply breathing. At first, the discomfort was overwhelming. I wanted to get up, turn on music, text someone. But I persisted. And then, a gentle shift occurred. The discomfort gave way to a strange sense of peace. It wasn't an explosive joy, but a quiet stillness, like a calm lake after a storm. This is the transition that psychologists analyze, from the negative state of loneliness, a feeling of lacking connection, a gnawing sadness, to the positive state of solitude. Solitude doesn't mean you are isolated, it's a conscious choice, a necessary space for inner dialogue. It's when you willingly step into your soul's garden, listening to your inner voice undisturbed by the world's noise. It's where new ideas are born, deep emotions are recognized and healed. A truly confident woman never fears being alone. On the contrary, she cherishes those moments as a precious source of energy, a tonic for her soul, helping her regenerate and connect more deeply with her authentic self. You'll find you no longer need something from the outside to feel complete. Completeness comes from within, when you dare to embrace even the void, and that is the foundation of self-contained happiness. 2. Liberation from the tyranny of thought, realizing you are not your thoughts, being able to observe negative thought patterns without being carried away by them. Have you ever felt like a puppet, pulled by the strings of your own thoughts? I'm not good enough, I'll definitely fail, everyone's talking behind my back, I'm terrible. These aren't just thoughts, they become a tyrannical inner voice, an invisible dictator trapping you in a mental prison. We believe we are these thoughts, and thus, we get caught in a loop of anxiety, self-doubt, and fear. The feeling of helplessness when you can't quiet that noisy brain is truly dreadful, isn't it? It's like trying to steer a car while your own thoughts keep yanking the wheel. This is the biggest obstacle preventing you from achieving inner peace and confidence. Liberation from this tyranny doesn't mean you stop thinking, that's impossible. Nor does it mean forcing yourself to think positively all the time. Instead, it's a simple yet incredibly powerful awakening. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of those thoughts. Imagine your mind as a vast sky, and thoughts as clouds of various shapes and colors drifting by. You are not the clouds, you are the calm, expansive sky. You can watch them come and go, watch them dissipate, without needing to grasp them, analyze them, or be carried away by them. This requires patient practice. When a negative thought arises, instead of dwelling on it, gently acknowledge it. This is a thought about anxiety appearing, or this is the voice of self-criticism. Then, take a deep breath and let it pass. It's difficult at first, because our minds are accustomed to clinging to and analyzing everything. But gradually, you'll feel a lightness, a space of peace opening up within your mind. In Jungian psychology, this is the ability to differentiate between the ego, the conscious part of yourself that you recognize in your daily life, and the products of the unconscious, such as complexes or parts of the shadow. These are merely thoughts and feelings, not your entire being. Once you recognize this distinction, you will no longer allow those tyrannical thoughts to control your emotions or actions. You can observe them without being swept away, calm enough to make wise choices, rather than reacting out of instinctual fear. That's the feeling of mastering yourself, an inner freedom few possess. This is the first secret to inner control, unlocking happiness and confidence. 3. Liberation from the burden of perfection, handling mistakes realistically, without self-torment, accepting your imperfections. In a world obsessed with perfection, where meticulously edited images dominate every platform, we, especially women, often unconsciously sign an invisible contract with pressure. From a young age, we're handed a life checklist: be flawlessly beautiful, brilliantly intelligent, constantly advance in our careers, and excel in countless other roles: the dutiful daughter, the exemplary student, the ideal partner, the perfect wife, the devoted mother, the reliable colleague. This silent pressure permeates every breath, every decision, weaving a persistent fear that we are always lacking, always insufficient. Every small stumble, every imperfect moment, suddenly becomes a heavy judgment on our self-worth, leading to endless self-questioning and inner torment. We live in a chronic obsession with mistakes, fearing exposure, and thus, we retreat, daring not to step out of our comfort zones, not daring to explore new things for fear of deviating from the golden standard we and society have erected. This feeling is like constantly straining to walk a pre-marked path, with thousands of scrutinizing eyes and the whispering voice of "no mistakes allowed," echoing in your mind. This makes happiness and confidence seem distant. Liberation from this burden means accepting a simple, yet poignant truth: no one is perfect. And more importantly, you don't need to be perfect to be loved, to be happy, or to live a meaningful life. Mistakes are not endpoints or proof of your inadequacy, they are an indispensable part of learning, growth, and self-discovery. When you make a mistake, instead of beating yourself up with questions like "why am I so stupid?" or "if only I had," learn to view it realistically, objectively. I made a mistake here. What can I learn from this experience? How can I do things differently next time? That's a liberating question, shifting from self-torment to growth. This is the profound inner work of integrating the shadow in Jungian psychology. The shadow encompasses all parts of ourselves that we reject, deeply bury, or try to deny: our flaws, mistakes, and emotions labeled negative by society, like anger, envy, weakness. We always want to show our best side, hiding the less desirable parts. But Jung believed that the goal of psychological maturity isn't to become a good person without blemish, but to become a whole person. A whole person dares to look directly at both their light and their darkness, accepting that both are inseparable parts of who they are. When you accept your flaws, the parts you once hid, you will no longer fear them being exposed. You'll feel much lighter, less pressured. And strangely, your confidence will stem from your authenticity, from daring to be yourself, with all that you are. A woman who dares to live authentically, even with her imperfections, radiates an irresistible charm, because she has found peace even in the most imperfect parts of herself. That's a quiet, yet incredibly solid strength, the secret to genuine confidence and complete happiness. For liberation from the burden of people-pleasing, daring to say no concisely, clearly, and without guilt. From a very young age, especially women, we are often programmed to be gentle, agreeable, always ready to help, and to avoid causing any discomfort to others. This unconsciously creates an enormous burden, the burden of pleasing everyone. Do you find yourself often saying yes to requests you don't want to fulfill, taking on more work when you're already overwhelmed, or maintaining unhealthy relationships simply because you fear upsetting or disappointing others? What's the consequence? We become exhausted, lose our personal boundaries, and ultimately feel deeply dissatisfied because we're not living our own lives, but rather living according to others' desires. This feeling is like constantly pouring yourself into a bottomless well. Can a woman who constantly pleases others truly be happy and confident? Daring to say no is a surprisingly powerful act of liberation. It's not selfish, it's an act of respecting yourself and your energy. When you say no concisely, clearly, and most importantly, without guilt, you are setting firm boundaries for yourself, protecting your precious time, energy, and inner peace. You don't need to offer lengthy explanations, justifications, or apologies for your decision. A sincere and firm no is enough. The feeling of lightness after saying no to something you didn't want to do, the sensation of a burden lifted, that is the hallmark of freedom. In Jungian psychology, this is the act of shedding the persona. The persona is the social mask we wear to conform to others' expectations, to be accepted or liked, or to hide our true selves. When you constantly try to please everyone, you are living behind that persona, concealing your authentic parts, your own opinions, your true feelings. When you dare to say no, you are stepping out of that role, daring to reveal your inner self. Certainly, some people might not like it at first, they're used to you always saying yes. But those who truly care for, respect, and love your authentic self will understand and accept your boundaries. And those are the people you truly want to keep in your life. When you stop living to please others, you will find genuine confidence in being yourself, and that is a part of the secret to happiness. 5. Liberation from the need to be right, willing to let go of winning pointless arguments to preserve inner peace. Have you ever found yourself caught in an argument, and even though you knew it was going nowhere, resolving nothing, you still tried to prove you were right at all costs? From minor family squabbles to online debates, the need to be right, to win is a subtle trap of the ego. It causes us to waste energy on pointless conflicts, damage important relationships, and lose our inner peace. The feeling of frustration and discomfort when you can't win an argument is truly exhausting. This need often stems from an underlying insecurity. We believe that being right validates our self-worth, proving us intelligent or superior. Can a woman who constantly needs to be right to validate herself find lasting happiness? Liberation from the need to be right is a sign of deep psychological maturity. It's the ability to recognize that not every battle is worth fighting. There are times when inner peace and harmony in important relationships are far more valuable than proving you are superior. You can have your perspective, and others can have theirs. Both can be valid within their own context, experience, and frame of reference. Truth isn't always a single, straight path that only one person holds. Sometimes, truth has many shades, as the saying goes, to each their own. When you are willing to let go of winning pointless arguments, you are demonstrating a matured ego. An ego that no longer seeks its worth through trivial external validations, that doesn't need to win to feel valuable or intelligent. Instead, it finds confidence in its inner understanding and acceptance of diversity. You'll find yourself much less stressed, and your relationships will become lighter and more breathable. And most importantly, you'll preserve a deep inner peace. The feeling of releasing the need to prove yourself is truly wonderful. Sometimes, being silent, listening, and smiling, allowing others to be right in that moment, is your greatest victory, a victory for your inner peace. That is the secret to a truly confident, peaceful, and happy soul. 6. Liberation from the phantom race, stopping the subtle comparison with others and genuinely celebrating their success. We live in an era of relentless comparison, especially with the explosion of social media. You open your phone and are constantly exposed to perfect images of others' lives, luxurious travels, dazzling career successes, perfectly happy families, beautifully plated meals. And then, unconsciously, we begin to compare our own lives to these highlights, these carefully curated moments that others choose to display. What's the result? A simmering envy, insecurity, self-doubt, and a constant feeling of falling short. This is a phantom race, because we are comparing our behind-the-scenes struggles and anxieties with others' best presented versions. This constant chasing, never feeling enough, is truly exhausting and drains your energy, preventing you from enjoying your own happiness. Liberation from this phantom race is a profound journey of self-awareness. You realize that everyone has a unique, individual journey. Your life doesn't need to resemble anyone else's, you don't need to conform to any external standards. When you stop subtly comparing yourself to others, you free yourself from an enormous mental burden. And something magical happens, you begin to genuinely celebrate their success. When you see others achieve something good, instead of feeling envious or insecure, you might feel admiration, inspiration, and even vicarious happiness. The feeling of sincerely congratulating others is truly light and expansive for the soul. In Jungian psychology, this is a sign that you are on the right path of individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming your most complete and unique self, a singular path where comparison with others becomes meaningless. The more deeply you connect with yourself, with your own purpose, values, and path, the less you are affected by what others are doing. You understand that others' success does not diminish your worth or opportunities. On the contrary, the world is vast enough for all of us to shine in our own ways. Your confidence no longer depends on being better than someone else, but comes from being authentically yourself, without needing any external validation. This is the secret to finding joy and happiness on your own path. 7. Liberation from the societal timeline, finding peace with your own life's pace, in career, marriage, children, without being pressured by common standards. Society often draws up an ideal life roadmap or timeline for a woman. By what age should she graduate, have a stable job, get married, have children, own a home, a car, a solid career? If you don't follow this script, you can easily feel lost, insecure, or even like a failure or outdated. Pressure from family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers can make you doubt your choices, even if you are truly happy with them. Do you find yourself tired of constantly explaining or justifying your personal choices? This drains your peace and joy in life. Liberation from this societal timeline is a courageous act of self-acceptance and trust in your own path. It's when you learn to be at peace with your own life's rhythm, no matter how different it is from what society expects. Perhaps you choose to focus on your career before marrying at 35, or decide not to have children, or start a completely new career at 40. Whatever the choice, as long as it stems from your authentic desire, from your inner calling, and not from external pressure, then it is the right choice for you. When you release this pressure, you no longer have to live life according to someone else's script. You allow yourself the freedom to explore, to grow at your own pace, without rushing or chasing anyone. This creates a deep inner peace, because you no longer have to strain to fit into a pre-existing mold. The feeling of lightness when you realize you don't need to explain or apologize for your path is truly a burden lifted. Your confidence doesn't come from hitting societal milestones, but from living authentically as yourself, with your own values and desires. You are free to define success on your own terms, and that is the most meaningful success, because it truly reflects who you are. This is the secret to a happy life on your own terms. 8. Liberation from the fear of abandonment, gaining a deep conviction that you will still be okay and happy even when alone. This, as I emphasized in the foundation, is the deepest root of much insecurity and lack of confidence in women. The fear of abandonment can subtly creep into the subconscious from childhood experiences, fear of parents or friends forgetting you, from past relationship wounds, or simply as an instinctive fear of isolation, of not being accepted. This fear causes us to do things that aren't true to ourselves, clinging to unhealthy relationships, accepting unfair treatment, ignoring our inner voice, or constantly seeking approval and presence from others to feel worthy. A woman cannot truly be confident if she constantly lives in fear of someone leaving her, afraid to face herself. This fear is the biggest barrier to happiness and confidence. Liberation from this fear doesn't mean you'll never feel sad when someone leaves you. That's perfectly normal and part of the grieving process. Instead, it means gaining a deep, core conviction that no matter what happens, no matter who comes or goes, you will still be okay and happy even when alone. This conviction isn't superficial reassurance, it comes from a firm connection with yourself, from realizing that your source of happiness, worth, and completeness lies within, rather than depending on the presence or affection of others. This feeling is like finding an eternal home within yourself, where you are always safe and at peace. In Jungian psychology, this is the highest achievement of individuation, when a person connects with the self, their inner core. The self is your true, complete essence, containing all wisdom, peace, and boundless strength. When you connect with the self, you realize you are a complete, whole entity. You no longer seek completion from the outside, because you know you are already whole. You no longer fear loneliness, because you know you always have yourself for companionship and support. A woman who has liberated herself from the fear of abandonment radiates an serene confidence, an irresistible charm, because she lives without needing anyone's permission or approval. She is authentically herself, whole and unafraid of loneliness or abandonment. That is the secret of a truly confident and happy woman, because she has found completeness within herself. 9. Liberation from the myth of the other half, no longer seeking someone to complete you, entering relationships as an already whole individual. The fear of abandonment, as we just discussed, often leads to another common illusion deeply embedded in culture and the minds of many women, the myth of the other half, a destined person who will come to complete you, fill every void in your soul, and make you feel whole and happy ever after. We grow up with fairy tales and romantic movies where love is a magic spell that transforms an incomplete person into a whole one. The consequence is that many women spend their entire lives searching for this other half, and when they find, or think they find, them, they place all their happiness, worth, and life's meaning into that relationship. This creates immense pressure on both parties and often leads to dependency, unrealistic expectations, and ultimately deep disappointment when the other half cannot bear such a heavy burden. It prevents you from finding independent happiness. Liberation from this myth is an aha moment that changes your life. You realize that you were already whole from the beginning. You don't need someone to complete you, because you are already a complete individual. You enter relationships not because you are lacking or need to be saved, but because you want to share your completeness, your inner richness, with another person. You want to grow together, create meaningful experiences together, rather than seeking something to fill holes in your soul. The feeling of no longer craving someone to lean on is truly liberating. In Jungian psychology, this is the act of ceasing to project, projection. We often project qualities, aspects of ourselves that we haven't developed or accepted, our perceived lacks, onto others, wishing that person would embody them for us. For women, this often relates to the animus, inner masculine, archetype, qualities like assertiveness, independence, strength, and logic. Instead of seeking a man outside yourself to embody and compensate for these qualities, you begin to reclaim these animus qualities and develop them within yourself. When you become a complete, self-reliant, confident individual with both feminine and masculine aspects harmoniously integrated within, you will no longer project the need for completion onto others. You will enter relationships as a whole person, bringing your inner richness to enrich the relationship, rather than seeking something to fill yourself. This is the foundation for mature love, a healthy relationship, and an unshakable confidence, a crucial part of the secret to true happiness. 10. Liberation from the need to be liked, accepting that being authentic might make some people dislike you, and being at peace with that. Similar to the burden of people-pleasing, the need to be liked is another invisible cage that society and upbringing impose on women. We are encouraged to always smile, be sweet, gentle, avoid all conflict, and most importantly, be liked by everyone, never offending anyone. This causes us to suppress dissenting opinions, shy away from expressing our unique personalities, and often live a life that isn't our own, just to gain others' approval and affection. Do you find yourself constantly performing a role to please the person in front of you? Exhaustion and deep dissatisfaction are inevitable when you constantly wear different masks. Can confidence and happiness truly come from pleasing others? Liberation from this need comes when you truly accept a basic truth that few dare to speak: you cannot please everyone. And more importantly, you don't need to. Living authentically, with your own values, opinions, and true emotions, will inevitably lead to some people disliking you. They might not understand you, disagree with you, or even feel uncomfortable and turn away. But dear one, that is not your problem. This is a moment of freedom when you realize this. When you dare to accept this truth and are at peace with it, that is a sign of true confidence, an unshakable self-assurance. Your confidence no longer depends on others' perceptions or judgments, no longer hinges on how many people like you. You trust in your own worth, in the authenticity of who you are, regardless of whether someone likes you or not. You'll feel much lighter, no longer needing to wear heavy masks or strain to conform. Life becomes much simpler when you no longer care what others think of you. And the most wonderful thing is, you will attract people who genuinely love your true self, people who accept you with all that you are, not the version you tried to create to please them. That's true friendship, an authentic relationship, and priceless freedom. This very peace in being yourself is a core secret of the happy and confident woman. 11. Liberation from loyalty to your old self, allowing yourself to change, evolve, and release outdated identities without guilt. We often cling to a certain identity of ourselves, a familiar version. I'm the one who always sacrifices for family, I'm strong, I never cry in front of anyone, I'm an introvert and avoid crowds, or I'm only good at office work. These identities might have served us at some point in our lives, helping us feel safe or accepted. But life is constantly changing, and so are we. When we stubbornly hold onto old definitions of ourselves, even if they no longer fit, we feel constrained, suffocated, and even guilty when we want to change. Do you find yourself having changed a lot, but still telling yourself, I have to be this person from before? This hinders your growth and happiness. Liberation from loyalty to your old self means allowing yourself to change, evolve naturally, and release identities that no longer serve your growth. This requires great courage to face uncertainty, the loss of the familiar, and even criticism from both yourself and those around you. Friends might say, "You're so different lately, not the person I knew anymore," or family might not understand your new choices. But dear one, if you don't allow yourself to change, you'll remain stuck, unable to become a better, more authentic version of yourself. This feeling of metamorphosis is both daunting and exhilarating. This is an essential part of the journey of maturity and self-awareness. It's about continuously redefining yourself, constantly learning and growing. You don't need to feel guilty for leaving an old job that no longer aligns with your new values, an unhealthy relationship, or an outdated opinion. You have the right to change, to become a new person, and that doesn't mean you are betraying your old self or those who were connected to it. On the contrary, it's the greatest respect you can show for your life's journey, a journey of continuous evolution. When you allow yourself to change, you'll feel freer, lighter, and more energized than ever, ready to embrace new things without being bound by the past. This capacity for evolution is a crucial secret of the confident and sustainably happy woman. 12. Liberation from the pressure to constantly strive, allowing yourself to rest, to do nothing without feeling useless or lazy. In modern society, we are obsessed with the concepts of productivity and achievement. We feel we must always be busy, always working, always learning new things, always optimizing ourselves so as not to fall behind. A day when you have nothing to do, or when you take time to rest and relax, often comes with a heavy sense of guilt. I'm wasting time, I'm so lazy, others are moving forward while I'm standing still. This pressure to constantly strive not only leads to physical exhaustion and chronic mental stress but also to a feeling of never being good enough, never reaching the pinnacle expected. Do you find yourself constantly haunted by the question, have I done enough? This exhaustion robs you of genuine joy and confidence. Liberation from this pressure is a profoundly important shift in mindset. You realize that rest is not laziness or a waste, it is an essential part, a prerequisite for regeneration and growth. Our bodies and minds need time to recover, to process information, to consolidate memories, and to recharge. When you allow yourself to rest, to do nothing completely without feeling guilty or useless, you are practicing the deepest compassion for yourself. Sometimes, breakthrough ideas and creative solutions don't come when you're pushing yourself to the limit, but rather emerge in moments of quiet stillness and relaxation, when the mind is at ease. Resting doesn't mean you are weak or incompetent. On the contrary, it's a sign of wisdom and inner strength. A truly confident woman understands that her worth lies not in how much she accomplishes or the length of her achievement list, but in who she is. She knows how to listen to her body and mind, knows when to slow down, and knows how to recharge so she can continue her journey sustainably and effectively. She doesn't need to prove her busyness or diligence to anyone. She allows herself to live fully, including moments of rest, enjoying peace, and simply being present. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom to be yourself, in every moment, unbound by external definitions or pressures. That is the secret to true peace and completeness, leading to lasting happiness and confidence. So, we have journeyed together through 12 core liberations, 12 inward journeys that I believe every confident and happy woman has experienced or is experiencing. This journey isn't about achieving a title or a state of perfection. It's a continuous process of liberation, freeing yourself from the invisible bonds of fear, pressure, false beliefs, and expectations that aren't truly yours. You see, happiness and confidence aren't something you have to seek externally, something you need to fill up or achieve by adding more to yourself. They are something you unearth from within, by shedding the burdens, the layers of dust, the false beliefs that have obscured your inherent light and beauty. When you dare to confront the fear of emptiness, dare to observe your thoughts without being swept away, dare to accept imperfection, dare to say no, dare to let go of the need to be right or to be liked, dare to live at your own pace, dare to face the fear of abandonment, dare to discard the myth of the other half, dare to allow yourself to change, and dare to rest, that is when you truly become the strongest, most peaceful, and most radiant version of yourself. Remember, you were already whole from the beginning. All you need to do is remove the layers of dust that have obscured the precious gem within. This journey may not be easy, it may require courage and perseverance, but it is entirely worth it. Start with the smallest step, with the one liberation you feel you need most right now, to unlock the secret to a truly confident and happy life. Are you ready to embrace your freer and happier self? Listen to your inner voice, and allow yourself to be authentically you. Are you ready to embrace a freer, happier version of yourself? If this article resonates with you, please share your insights in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share this piece with the women in your life who might benefit. And for more profound insights into psychology and life, subscribe to the Love and Psyche channel today. Together, we'll continue this journey of self-discovery and soul nurturing.